program was recorded at RILA's annual logistics conference in Orlando, Florida. I'm pleased to welcome Editor-in-Chief of Supply Chain Brain, Russell Goodman.
Product safety. Joining us today for a conversation on that topic is Stephanie Lester, Vice President for International Trade at the Retail Industry Leaders Association. Stephanie, welcome.
Thank you, Russell.
Stephanie, it's fair to say that in the last 2 or 3 years there have been any number of horror stories in the press about product safety. What are retailers doing about that?
Retailers place the highest priority on the safety and quality of the product they sell to their consumers. Obviously, these news stories raised their awareness that they need to be more involved in their supply chains and know their suppliers better. In 2009, RILA and the British Retail Consortium, or BRC, forged a partnership to create a global standard for consumer products, for the safety of consumer products. And we have been working with our members to develop that standard and implement that standard.
Well, walk us through that standard. What does it say? What is it intended to do?
The standard is intended to harmonize retailer requirements on their suppliers to create a truly global standard that takes the requirements of American and European retailers of what they expect in the competency of the factories that make their products, looking at safety, legality, quality, ensuring that there is a consistent process that factories can meet so that when you test products, you're going to have several elements of a product safety regime. It's going to involve product testing, design, manufacture, and you need a comprehensive effort to ensure product safety. So this BRC RILA global standard will be one element of that, a factory audit that will look at these elements to ensure that when you do product testing, that the testing will show you've got a consistency across the line to know that everything coming out of that factory will meet the same standards of those products that are tested.
So Stephanie, as you look at it, what are the key benefits for a supplier or a factory?
Some of the key benefits will be, one, right now retailers are already conducting factory audits of their suppliers, and you can have redundant audits from multiple retailers. The BRC RILA Global Standard will seek to reduce those redundancies so that retailers can rely on one audit of a factory and just have one visit rather than multiple visits throughout the year. And also for factories that are already achieving a high level of quality and safety, this will help to reduce costs for them and harmonize what they need to do for retailers across the globe.
Does the BRC RILA standard, or how does it relate, I should say, to other certification programs, and does it replace any of them?
I think it complements some of the other certification programs that are out there right now. For example, the toy industry is pursuing a certification program. This could be one element in looking at a factory audit. It also is very similar to ISO 9000 in the requirements that it requires of factories. Although one thing we hope to take these requirements one step further by ensuring consistency in how the RILA BRC standard is implemented. I think retailers aren't comfortable that ISO 9000 is always implemented at a high level. It can be sometimes, but not always. And so we're looking to close up some of those loopholes and have follow through to ensure quality and consistency.
What is the timing of the release of the standard, by the way?
The standard is expected to be released next month, March 2010, and it will be followed up by general guidelines and sector guidelines, as well as audit scorecards that will be coming out over the next year.
Is it fair to say that there is general interest and even support in the BRC RILA standard?
There's a lot of support from RILA members. We are very active, as I said, in developing the standard, have been and looking to implement it. We're working very closely with our British and European counterparts as they update and implement the standard so that we do have consistency and wide acceptance from a broad array of retailers.
Now, it occurs to me that a number of viewers are going to say, well, I'm a little concerned about confidentiality in the supply chain. Once this is in effect, how is that confidentiality going to be maintained? What do you say to them?
Well, one critical element that supports the BRC RILA global standard is a database that will be maintained by the BRC. And that database will have multiple layers of privacy and security so that the owner of the factory audit will control who can see the information in that audit. They will be able to check off what retailers they want to see it, and only those retailers will be able to see it. There is a public side to this database where the public can see very general information. If you have achieved RILA BRC certification, you can be listed on the public database that will list the name and address of the factory, but that's all it will list. It won't provide any more details of the specifics of the factory audit.
Final question, or perhaps two questions wrapped into one. Will there be any type of identifying BRC RILA mark or logo on products? And does what we're talking about here today, does it include any type of social compliance?
Well, first, to your question on a product mark. The RILA BRC global standard is really a process standard that looks at facilities, that looks at factories. It's not a product standard, so there will not be a mark on a product. Instead, it's looking at the factories. And then your second question on social compliance, no. Right now, we are not envisioning that social compliance will be an element of this standard. Right now, we're focusing on what's most at hand, and that's product safety, where we think we really need to focus our efforts and harmonize a standard.
Well, Stephanie, product safety is top of mind for very many people today. Very important issue. Thank you so much for sitting down and speaking with us today.
Thank you, Russell.
Stephanie Lester, RILA, speaking with us today about product safety. Thank you for watching.